In the early months of 2000, the wave of new rural development began to be implemented in rural areas of Vietnam. Dong Hoa Village, with its beautiful terrain, fertile land, and honest, hardworking people, gradually became a focus and a leader in this movement. Accordingly, the road system and infrastructure were improved to serve the production activities of the people. The type of farming chosen by most residents here was raising pigs and various poultry. Livestock farming received government support, and the rearing period was very short thanks to the application of new, scientific farming methods from the agricultural cooperative. Only 1 quarter had passed, and the first batches of pigs, chickens, and ducks were already sent to market, sold to traders, bringing in profits. Some families even hit the jackpot, buying motorbikes, televisions, and renovating their homes. This evening, at Mr. Hai's dog meat restaurant at the edge of Dong Village, there was a lively atmosphere of laughter and teasing. The one footing the bill for this feast was Mr. Can. His family was considered one of the biggest winners. His pig farm, at its peak, had over 100 pigs and countless ducks. He had sold thousands, and now the next batch was almost ready for market. Raising his wine cup, Mr. Can wore a beaming smile. "Brothers, today, feel free to enjoy." Mr. Hai put it all on my tab. "I'll settle it all tomorrow morning because tonight I expect to be completely drunk and not sober enough." "Eat as much as you want, Mr. Kin is here after all. I'm the village's tycoon, no joke. Remember to support me then, okay?" someone said. "Of course, I love Old Hai's roasted dishes, every bite is delicious. Why don't you come over now, have a few drinks with me and everyone else?" Coming right away." Mr. Hai hastily poured a full glass of wine. People from nearby hamlets also cheered, and after drinking, they shook hands and offered congratulations to Mr. Can. After a while, the conversation turned to the rising fortune of Mr. Bach, a relative. While pouring wine, Mr. Bach whispered, "Mr. Can, please let me join you. I'm the main breadwinner now, but I'm just doing odd jobs here and there, earning a pittance as a bricklayer. We're family, Mr. Can. Help me earn a living." "I'm so fed up." Mr. Can nodded and replied, "All right, if you want to join, then join. There's nothing to be shy or reserved about." "Really? Thank you so much, Mr. Can. I'll come over tomorrow." "No, our house already has enough workers, don't we?" I said yes, so I agreed to let you join. It's not a charity market, you know. Mr. Bach's face froze. "I don't understand what you're saying." "How could you understand? But don't worry, I'll contact you soon. If it really works out, you won't have to worry about living expenses. Not only will you be able to feed your family, but you'll also be able to build a house and buy a car in the near future." "Really? Thank you so much." Bach was overjoyed. He poured more wine for Mr. Can. As for Mr. Can, his previous remark wasn't just small talk or a momentary impulse. He truly had a plan to expand his livestock farming operation. Specifically, for him, the current scale only made him better off, but couldn't help him break through, become truly rich, and establish a significant position in the entire region. For the past week, he had been nurturing a grand plan to triple the size of his pig farm and expand his chicken and duck poultry fivefold. To accommodate this scale, Mr. Can needed at least 5 hectares of land. Of course, he didn't own any land that large. But what he had set his sights on was the western edge of Dong Hoa Village, where a desolate, abandoned cemetery was located. It was called a desolate cemetery because it wasn't the one villagers usually used for burials. No one knew how long this western cemetery had existed. Ever since Mr. Can was a child, he used to herd buffalo there and play with his peers. According to him, almost all the graves there were anonymous, without relatives. Some graves dated back 100 years or more. Villagers rumored it was a public cemetery for Chinese people. Centuries ago, they came to live in this area for over 100 years. But when war ravaged the land, they had to abandon their homes, and the graves thus became ownerless, lying desolate year after year, forgotten by time. Returning to Mr. Can's plan, he targeted the desolate cemetery for 2 reasons. Firstly, because the graves there were ownerless, the land had long been neglected, and no one cared. After he relocated the graves to the village cemetery, he wouldn't face any opposition. The second reason was that he knew someone who worked at the land registration office. Therefore, all he needed was a night of drinking and a bit of money, and they would help him secure the paperwork for that desolate cemetery land for several decades at the cheapest possible price. To ensure everything went smoothly, by the end of this year, the second batch of livestock would be ready for market. He would have enough money to transform his current single-story house into a spacious, three-story mansion, the largest in the region. By midnight, the drinking party ended, not because Mr. Ken couldn't drink anymore, but because it was closing time for the dog meat restaurant. Before leaving, Mr. Ken didn't forget to boast. "Mr. Hi, if I get good news this week, I'll pay for your whole restaurant." "Agreed, but be careful, Mr. Can." He climbed onto his Honda 67 motorbike. This was just an old bike he bought a few years ago from an acquaintance, and of course, he was starting to believe it no longer suited him. A man like him should be buying modern scooters or even a car. Arriving home, Mr. Can hammered on the gate, calling loudly, "Mrs. Cuck, are you home? Open the door for me." It took a moment for the main door inside to open. A faint yellow light spilled out. Mrs. Cuck and Mr. Can squinted their eyes, half asleep. "What are you doing coming home so late? I told you to wait for me." "I waited, but there's a limit. I fell asleep on the chair." "Where's Binh then, letting you wait up? Tell him to come replace you." "You're just getting back now, but he won't be back until morning. You two are too keen on having fun. Since the last batch of pigs was sold, you haven't gone a day without getting drunk, acting like a couple of alcoholics. You're always getting ahead of yourself. I only have a few days off. Soon I'll be so busy I won't know up from down. I won't even have time to breathe." "All right, stop talking. Come in quickly. You'll catch a cold out here and cause more trouble." Mr. Can wheeled his motorbike into the yard, turned on the tap to wash his hands and feet, then walked into the living room, looking around. He smirked and mumbled, Soon. I won't be living in this rat hole anymore." The next morning, after waking up, Mr. Can changed into a neatly pressed shirt and trousers. He also prepared an envelope containing 200,000 VND, an amount equivalent to a whole tael of gold at that time. Seeing her husband's meticulousness, Mrs. Cuck was very curious. "Oh, where are you going, all dressed up like that? Are you going on a secret rendezvous or meeting some girl?" "Hey, what are you talking about? Do you think I'm that shallow?" "I'm going to do something important." "Then why can't you tell me?" "If I tell you, you'll broadcast it to the whole village before it's even done. I don't want people to pry, and if someone tries to steal my thunder, it'll be a big headache." "All right, fine, I'll see what you're up to, but if you're messing around with anyone, don't blame me." "I know. Oh, where's Binh? He's not back yet. Go wake him up, I'm afraid he'll fall in with bad company." Without another word to his wife, Mr. Can just nodded and walked straight out. The place he headed to was the commune's People's Committee, specifically the Land Registration Office. Upon arriving, he knocked on the door, not forgetting to call out softly, Mr. Vin. "Who is it?" "It's me, Can." "Who's here so early?" "Come in, the door's not locked." Just waiting for that, Mr. Can pushed the door open and entered. Mr. Vin was a distant relative of his. They had met and chatted several times in the past. Although not particularly close, their relationship was recently rekindled when Mr. Can began planning to acquire land. Invited to the reception table and chairs, Mr. Vin poured a cup of tea and offered, "Have some ginger tea. It's gotten cold lately, so we added a bit of ginger. No wonder it smells so good." "Ah, Mr. Vin, I don't want to waste your precious time. Regarding that desolate cemetery land I mentioned the other day, what do you think? Can you figure out a way for me?" At this question, Mr. Vin took a sip of tea and nodded. "There's a way, Mr. Can, but that land belongs to the public. For 5 or 10 years I can handle it, but if you want more, it'll be difficult. I want to do business long-term. 5 or 10 years is nothing. Don't be so short-sighted." "My intention isn't like that, but if you want it for up to 20 years, you'll have to take care of the people above. That would be a greasing fee." "Greasing fee? Then just say it directly. I'm not an outsider, so why are you hesitant? How much?" "I can't predict a specific amount yet, but it depends on your promptness and goodwill." "You don't need to worry about that. If I'm not trustworthy and prompt, who is? I've prepared something for you here." With that, Mr. Can took out the prepared envelope and gave it to Mr. Vin. It quickly had its effect, as Mr. Vin nodded, looking very pleased. "Your family, so I'll help as much as I can. I'll report it up. You should also prepare a couple of million. It's for the officials to wine and dine." "I know. Don't worry, as long as you get the job done for me, money is no object." "Yes." After a few more minutes of small talk, Mr. Can left. It was still before noon, so he took the opportunity to visit another equally important person, Mr. Tu, a local undertaker and grave digger. Under his management was a team of about 10 skilled workers. If he could make a deal with Mr. Tu, he wouldn't have to worry about relocating the graves. When Mr. Can arrived at Mr. Tu's house, a light rain was falling. Mr. Can drove his motorbike straight into the middle of the yard. It didn't take long for him to spot the man he was looking for, sitting and sipping tea, accompanied by his pipe for smoking tobacco. Well, with this rain and wind, Mr. Two looks quite relaxed and comfortable, eh? Mr. Two squinted his eyes, somewhat surprised by the visit. Although they lived in the same village, they rarely interacted. Mr. Two then spoke. "Oh, Mr. Can, what brings you to my house? Can I just come to visit?" "Oh no, I didn't mean that. It's just that you've never visited me before. Or do your ancestors' graves need to be reburied? As neighbors, I wouldn't charge too much, just enough for my workers' daily wages to support their families." As if hitting the right spot, Mr. Can dismounted his motorbike, rushed inside, and sat down on the steps opposite Mr. Two. "Mr. Two, how can you say that? I have a big deal I want to ask for your help with. If you agree to lend me a hand, not only will I pay your workers, but I'll also send you a bonus dozens of times more than what you get for reburying others." "Ah, are you teasing me because you think my business is going downhill lately?" "No way, I don't mean that at all. I'm serious. For this business to go smoothly, I need your help, Mr. Two." Mr. Two poured another cup of tea for his guest and continued. "All right, stop beating around the bush. Tell me what you want me to do." "If I can, I will. It's nothing difficult, it suits your expertise. Mr. Two, you know about the desolate cemetery on the west side of our village, right? The desolate cemetery on the west, I know it. I've reburied several villagers from there to the current cemetery. Why, do you have someone buried there who needs to be moved?" "No, no one from my family is buried there, but my intention is for you to unearth all those graves." "What?" Mr. Two exclaimed, his eyes widening. "Mr. Can, these things are not to be joked about." "I'm not joking, I'm serious." "Serious? How can you be serious? The graves aren't yours to move." "Indeed, those graves are not mine, but they also have no relatives, so what is there to fear? Let me tell you, I'm going to lease that land soon, so I need to clear the area. All those graves will be moved to our village cemetery. I'll even help make large headstones. Although they won't be elaborate, they will be more respectable. If you want, I'll even visit and offer incense and prayers like a relative." Mr. Two shook his head, his face showing grave seriousness. "Mr. Can, you don't understand the matters of yin and yang. Disturbing graves is a great taboo. For example, if the person buried there were your relative, you would have their birth and death dates, and then consult a suitable master. But this is an entire desolate cemetery with over 100 graves. Not all graves can be unearthed at the same time. And as someone in this profession, I find such things repulsive. So, Mr. Two, you won't do it?" "That's right. Although I am indeed struggling, my house is dilapidated, and many days I have to scrounge for food, but I have my professional principles. You can go hire others. But I'll also tell you that cemetery belongs to the Chinese people. They are known for their seriousness in burial matters. Therefore, coffins often contain charms to ward off evil and preserve the soul's energy. If not handled carefully, Mr. Can, even you could be affected." "Fine, if you're too scared to do it, I'll find someone else." "What a coward. What kind of fortune teller still fears such things? Many times the bodies and coffins under those graves have already decomposed anyway. What's the big deal? All right, I won't ask for your help anymore. Goodbye, Mr. Two." As he finished speaking, Mr. Can sprang to his feet, not even finishing his cup of tea. As he walked out, rushing to his motorbike, he was still mumbling something, while Mr. Two watched his retreating figure and sighed deeply. "I pray to heaven and Buddha that he drops that idea. Sometimes, you shouldn't touch what shouldn't be touched." But Mr. Can didn't care about what he considered superstitious nonsense. As he left, he muttered curses. "Damn cowards, afraid to take money, no wonder they stay poor. Fine, I'll find another team of workers, a more discerning one." However, what Mr. Can didn't expect was that after returning home for lunch in the early afternoon, he went looking for grave diggers in other villages, but they all shook their heads. Some even said exactly what Mr. Two had said. "Oh, Mr. Can, that desolate cemetery is best left alone. It's full of negative energy, you can't touch it. Even skilled workers like me wouldn't dare go near it." By the end of the day, Mr. Can returned with a gloomy face and an extremely irritated demeanor. And rightly so. He had spent the whole day searching, but couldn't find a single worker for the grave relocation job. Upon arriving home, he carefully parked his motorbike and walked towards the water tap. As his wife and son were about to wash their hands and feet, he saw Binh, his son, emerge from the house, meticulously dressed and smelling of fragrant perfume. Already annoyed, Mr. Can growled, "You're already 23 years old, Binh, always out playing, never home, never doing anything." "Dad, we've had a few days off, haven't we? I helped you raise pigs, chickens, ducks, practically like a beggar." Now that I've achieved a little, shouldn't you let me enjoy myself? You want to have fun, fine, but remember to come home early. The weather's been rainy lately and the roads are slippery. You guys get on those bikes, make a racket, and race recklessly, not caring about anything. If you get into an accident yourselves, I won't say anything. But if you involve others, they'll come after your mother and me, and we'll suffer our whole lives. Dad, you don't need to worry about that. I know how to stay safe. And those friends of mine, they see you doing big business, but they're not really useful. Some of them even want to apply to work as laborers at our pig farm. But I don't think our farm is big enough yet. Where would we get the money to pay them? Hearing Binh say this, Mr. Can's eyes suddenly lit up as an idea sparked in his mind. He immediately asked his son, Binh, how many friends do you have in total? Just young men, no girls. Let me see. About a dozen, Dad, all my age. Are they strong and able to work? Of course, I know how to choose my friends. Those weak and effeminate types don't stand a chance with me. Then tell them I'll have something for them to do soon. If they agree, I'll pay each of them 200,000, enough for you all to have a good time. Really, Dad? Why are you paying so much? What kind of work is it that you don't let me do it to earn money? This job needs many people. You can't do it alone. To gain his son's trust, Mr. Can took out several tens of thousands from his pocket and gave them to Binh. Here, take this. Treat them to a good meal. Tell them it's money from me for drinking and playing. Tomorrow, I want all of you to gather here to hear me assign the work. Don't worry, I'll stick to the agreement. No one will be shortchanged. Yes, why are you so generous today, Dad? Thank you, Dad. All right, hurry up and go. Remember to be home early tonight? I know. Binh gleefully pocketed the money and quickly sped off on his motorbike. Despite the rain getting heavier that evening, he still vanished. Mr. Can also quickly went inside. Just as he settled onto the familiar wooden dining set, Mrs. Cuck came up from downstairs, holding a pair of kitchen chopsticks. You're home now, are you? Where have you been all day, looking so busy? I was taking care of business. That business you mentioned this morning, can you reveal it now? After a pause, Mr. Can nodded, gesturing for his wife to sit opposite him. Once Mrs. Cuck was settled, he recounted his plans. Of course, like many other rural women, Mrs. Cuck dared not touch upon matters of graves as they were very sensitive. So she immediately tried to dissuade her husband. My dear, please reconsider. We can lease land from others, or we can just maintain the current scale, gradually earning more, little by little, until we have enough to buy another piece of land when we're free. Typical woman, can't see beyond her nose. How can you even say that? Do you think everyone else in this region will just sit idly by and wait for me to get rich? Business needs to strike at the right time. Don't rest on your laurels. The pigs, chickens, and ducks from before are just a small part of my plan. Just imagine our whole family living in a 3- or 4-story house, with servants, buying all sorts of equipment, TVs, refrigerators, and even a car. Wouldn't you like that? I would, but I just feel uneasy about this whole thing. The graves in that desolate cemetery haven't had incense offered in a long time, and now we're disturbing them. What I'm doing is a good deed. You know the saying, they haven't had incense offered in a long time. So now I'm bringing them to our village cemetery, offering them incense, votive paper, and flowers. Isn't that better than lying in desolate fields? Mrs. Cuck pondered. Her husband's words made sense, but she quickly added, I don't dare interfere with your grand plan. But if possible, please let me invite a shaman to see what needs to be done, and to perform proper rituals. All right, I'll handle it, you don't need to worry. Now I have a task for you. What task? Tomorrow, go to your relative's house, find those nephews of yours who are still unemployed and wandering around. Tell them to come here and help me and Binh's friends. I need as much manpower as possible right now. In about 2 or 3 days, we'll have all those graves moved. It'll save a lot of costs. I'll try to talk to them, but I'm not sure if they'll agree. They might be superstitious about that land. Typical cowards, what is there to be afraid of? They pretend not to want to work but then ask for high prices. 200,000 or 300,000 dong per person, I'd bet my head they'd all sign up without a second thought. I wasn't going to tell you so soon, but I need your help with this, there's no other way. When you go there, choose your words carefully. If you reveal my plan and word gets out, and someone steals my thunder, I'll regret it my whole life. Mr. Can, you worry too much. Nobody here would dare touch that cemetery like you. Mrs. Cuck's face and eyes clearly showed her apprehension, but she clearly didn't want to argue further and risk being scolded again by Mr. Can. After informing his son and wife, the next person Mr. Can thought of was Bok, his cousin. He was called a cousin due to their family hierarchy, but in reality, Bok was only 2 years older than Binh. Waiting for the rain to subside, Mr. Can went to Bok's house to ask for help. Initially, Bach heard the offer of work with some apprehension. Mr. Can, are you serious? I'm serious, no joking. I'll tell you this, just help me this one time, and once the big farm is built, you'll manage it. You'll have plenty of money to spend and your life will change. I'm a man of my word, you know what I'm like. If you say so, I'll feel more at ease. I'll do my best. Exactly at 10 a.m. the next day, over 20 young men appeared at Mr. Can's small house. They were Binh's friends, Mrs. Cuck's nephews, and the group Bach had brought. Seeing this lineup, Mr. Can nodded with satisfaction. To ensure everything went smoothly, he reiterated, "What I want you all to do is unearth all the graves in the desolate cemetery and move them to the new burial ground. I've already obtained the commune's approval. We estimate the work will be completed within 3 days." What do you think? Faced with the timeline Mr. Can proposed, Bach spoke up immediately. Mr. Can, you need to reconsider. How can it be completed in 3 days? I've noticed there are 25 people here. Let's say 3 people handle 1 grave. In 1 day, we can only unearth 1 or 2, and then we still have to transport them and perform rituals. If the weather is good and it gets dark a little later, we might manage a 3rd grave. And you know how many graves are in this desolate cemetery? How can we finish in 3 days? At his logical question, Mr. Can quickly shook his head. You're too naive. I said we're moving them to a new burial ground, not that each grave goes to a specific spot. What do you mean? It means I've prepared 5 communal burial pits for you to dig. Once a grave is unearthed, load it onto a buffalo cart and dump everything into one of those pits. I've also prepared a route where villagers rarely pass, so people won't gossip. Oh my God, how can we dare do such a thing? What's there to not dare? I'm telling you, don't listen to all that ghost and spiritual talk and delude yourselves. There are no ghosts, and even if there were, after hundreds of years, they would have been reincarnated many times over. Now down there, it's just a mixture of bones and soil. The wooden coffins have all rotted away. Buying new coffins would cost more money, which I'd rather give to you. Am I right? Now I'll set the price. 3 days, 250,000 per person. At Mr. Can's attractive offer, Binh's friends were the first to respond. Uncle, we'll do it. Just take care of us, Uncle. Don't worry, we won't disappoint you. Good, that's what young men should be like. What about the rest of you? Mr. Can looked at the other 20-odd people. Well, if you've said so, we can't refuse. We're already here, but we just hope you'll make sure we're well taken care of. You don't need to worry about that. I'm only afraid you'll quit halfway and affect my plan. But if you complete it on schedule, not only will you get the agreed-upon money, but I'll also treat you to a lavish feast until you drop. With such sweet words from Mr. Can, the young men were further motivated. So, you all stay here today. I'll treat you to a drink first. I'll announce the specific work time later. Yes, sir, thank you. Mr. Can bustled into the kitchen, urging his wife to prepare some chickens and ducks for the feast. And of course, Mrs. Cuck didn't forget to remind her husband. Go over to Master High's house and invite him, will you? I'll handle the cooking, and you're a man, it's easier for you to talk to him. Ah, I'll go. However, as soon as he stepped out of the gate, Mr. Can stopped at a refreshment stall, sat down to drink tea, and smoked a cigarette. He had no intention of finding Master High, because Mr. Can felt he had already spent a lot of money on bribes and expenses for the impromptu grave-digging team. If he were to seek a shaman now, he didn't know how much more he would be extorted. So, he decided to quietly leave the house simply to reassure Mrs. Cuck. He would return later and say he had hired him for that time. He would use the excuse that Master High had gone to the cemetery to perform rituals. Whether he had or hadn't, Mrs. Cuck would never know. He continued to sip his tea until noon, as planned, then drove his car back home. By this time, the feast was already laid out. The house was too crowded, so Binh and a friend spread a tarp outside in the yard, set up 3 more tables, and everyone sat down. Seeing this, Mr. Can stood with his hands on his hips, mumbling, "Don't worry, all of you. In a short while, you won't have to worry about cramped spaces anymore." Someone said, "Mr. Can, does that mean you're going to build a new house?" "Not just a house, but the biggest, tallest house in this whole region." "Oh, that's great then, Mr. Can, please don't forget us. Please give us a chance to help out and earn a little money to get by each night." Hearing the lively chatter and laughter, Mrs. Cuck came up from the kitchen. "So, did you find Master High yet?" "Yes, it's done, but it cost me a fortune." Mrs. Cuck, of course, had no suspicions, she just nodded. "Well, they say what you honor honors you. It's okay to spend a little. So when will the master perform the ceremony?" "He has to wait for the right day and time to go perform rituals there. This is a ceremony at the cemetery, not at our house. I know, then you go drink with the boys. This time we're drinking at our house. I'll let you drink all you want. Mr. Ken chuckled and pulled up a chair. And so, the cheers, toasts, and clinking of glasses continued. By mid-afternoon, the drinking party ended, and Mr. Can was quite drunk. His son helped him into his room to rest. Outside, Binh and some of the other young men continued to drink, lingering a little longer. Binh, what is it? To be honest, this is the first time I've ever disturbed graves. Since everyone agreed, I could only follow along. But now, I suddenly feel scared. Hey, don't you dare abandon us halfway through. I've already made all the arrangements. You're not going to back out now, are you? No, it's not that I won't do it. But since we're all close friends and family, and with a little alcohol in me, I dare to tell you the truth. I don't mind the grave digging itself, but I have a problem with piling all their bones into one communal burial pit. What if something happens? If possible, try to talk to your dad. It would only take a little more time to give each person their own grave. All right, I'll talk to him about it. But don't you go thinking any strange thoughts. We're drinking today, be there on time. Dad already told everyone, don't disappoint him. I know. All right, drink up. Ignoring his friend's worries, Binh poured himself another full glass and drank it down. Of course, with his impulsive nature, Binh had no intention of trying to talk to or persuade Mr. Can further. 2 days passed. After hearing the weather forecast that there would be no rain for the next few days, Mr. Can immediately called Binh and the others to plan the leveling of the desolate cemetery. In addition, he hired a team of bulldozer operators and trucks to transport soil. Their task was to dump soil and flatten the area after the graves were unearthed. The terrain of this cemetery was quite uneven. Finally, everything was prepared. Now, they just had to wait for tonight to pass before starting work. Mr. Can sat in his armchair, looking out as the cool, gentle breeze cleared his mind. And it was this feeling of contentment that made him drift off to sleep without realizing it. But contrary to his feelings when he was awake, Mr. Can's sleep was anything but peaceful. Specifically, he felt his entire body being lifted, spinning, and then falling freely to the ground. While still disoriented, he heard a voice calling, Can. He looked towards the source of the voice, startled as he recognized the caller. It was old Mr. Tan Sin, who had passed away over a decade ago. Mr. Can now opened his mouth. Father. Can, stop, my son. Don't disturb anything. What are you saying, father? Just as he was about to approach his father, Mr. Can once again felt his body being lifted. Startled, he gradually sank into unconsciousness. In his daze, he saw many people standing around him with fierce eyes. Sir, wake up, it's morning. And when he heard the voice and felt his wife shaking him, Mr. Can woke up. He opened his eyes and saw Mrs. Cuck sweeping the floor, asking, Did you sleep out here all night? I told you to go to bed early. I didn't know. The weather was cool, so I fell asleep. What time is it? It's 6 a.m. now. Get up, brush your teeth, and wash your face. Didn't you arrange for those boys to meet at 7 a.m. yesterday? It's almost time. Earlier, a few of them came, but I saw you were still sleeping, so I told Binh to take them to the coffee shop. Mr. Can nodded, pushed himself up, and slowly walked downstairs. A moment later, he returned, and Bach, along with some of the nephews from his wife's side, had arrived. Almost everyone's here, Uncle. You're right. The bags of hose, shovels, and crowbars are over there. Just divide them among yourselves. Gloves, steel coils, and medicated oil are all prepared. Yes, sir. At exactly 7:30 a.m., the entire group of young men was present. Mr. Can quickly looked over them, then reiterated the plan. After that, they all headed straight towards the desolate cemetery to the west. By the time they arrived, the sun was already high. Its golden rays somewhat helped to dispel the cold, desolate feeling. Mr. Can pointed to some graves on the outer edge and said, Binh, you and your group take care of this outer row. As for the inner part and the lower, messier area, that's for Bach's group and the nephews from your mother's side. It's not early anymore, so let's start today. I'm lenient, so you can work slowly. But tomorrow and the day after, you must work hard. The young men acknowledged. Bach picked up a long hoe. He then asked, Mr. Can, what about the rituals? Have you invited a shaman yet? Just like he answered his wife, Mr. Can nodded. I took care of the rituals yesterday. There's no need to wait until today. That would waste too much time. You all can rest assured. Now, begin. The first strike of the hoe went down. Just as Mr. Can predicted, this cemetery was abandoned, so the graves were no longer intact or sturdy. Some even crumbled with a single blow. The coffins and bones inside were all decayed. In just one morning, nearly a dozen graves were unearthed, and of course, their fate was to be piled into the buffalo cart. Binh himself pulled the cart to the communal burial pits at the edge of the village cemetery and dumped them in. By midday, when the sun was directly overhead, Mr. Can waved his hand, signaling, "All right, stop. Let's eat lunch, then continue." To save time, there was a small eatery nearby. Mr. Can led his amateur grave-digging team there for lunch. The sounds of lively chatter and laughter echoed, then subsided at the gate. Mr. Can also interjected, "What do you think?" "It's not difficult, is it? Everything I prepared is perfectly set. A few swings of the hoe and you've got money." "That's right," Binh now enthusiastically agreed with his father. "But before you were so scared. What's there to be afraid of? Just finish the job. This evening I'll treat you all to a lavish feast." But Mr. Can quickly shot him a stern look. All you know is eating and drinking all day. Let them stay sober and work for 3 days. When it's all done, I'll treat you to a feast, no holds barred." "Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I just got carried away and blurted it out. Now, eat your rice. This rice is really good today, all sorts of dishes. We rarely get to eat like this on normal days." After finishing their meal, Mr. Can allowed the workers to rest for about half an hour, then they all returned to the cemetery to complete the work. There was no need to wait until tomorrow. Within just a few hours in the afternoon, the young men's proficiency clearly improved. Afterward, nearly 20 more graves were unearthed. But of course, they didn't meticulously check every single burial pit they dug. It was completely normal for a few bone fragments to be left behind. And even if Mr. Can knew, he wouldn't care, because all that mattered was covering them up. At the end of the first day of work, Mr. Can looked at nearly a third of the cemetery cleared and nodded with great satisfaction. Before heading home, he encouraged and praised them all. As dusk fell, Mr. Can and Binh were already home, standing by the water tap. From inside, they saw Mrs. Cuck emerge with a large pot in her hand, asking about their rest. "Oh, what are you cooking in such a big pot?" "Herbal steaming water. Come here quickly, both of you. Before entering the house, you must step over this pot to dispel the smell of death. Hurry." "Oh, Mom, you're so fussy." "All right, just do as she says, or she'll nag again." Nodded, stepping over the pot of steaming leaves. The rising heat, combined with the pungent smell of various herbs, made him grimace. Mr. Can followed behind. After they finished steaming, Mrs. Cuck asked again, "Now, you haven't caused any trouble, have you?" "Of course not. It's even better than I expected," Binh interjected. "Dad, didn't I tell you? They're incredibly skilled." "Yes, skilled, but it would be better if they were a little faster. You have 2 more days. Try to finish today. After that, you can do whatever you want." "Yes, sir, I'll lead them. Now, Dad, go rest, have dinner. I'll shower and then go out for a bit." "Good heavens, it's already this late and you're going out drinking somewhere." "Drinking? No, I'm just going to visit my girlfriend for a bit." "You have a girlfriend? How come I didn't know?" "I haven't told you yet, but I do. I plan to introduce her to you soon." "Really? You're not lying to your mother, are you?" "Of course not." "How could I lie? I haven't even found her house yet. Is she decent?" "More than decent. She's a kindergarten teacher, beautiful and talented." "Ah, it seems you know how to choose. Bring my daughter-in-law home quickly so I can meet her. And then let me have grandchildren to hold. I've been waiting for a long time." "Oh, slowly, slowly. It will happen eventually." And so, he quickly changed into fresh clothes and went to the bathroom. Mr. Can sat down at the dining table, lit a cigarette, and sipped tea before dinner. The evening passed rather quickly. It was already 10 p.m. His son still wasn't home, and Mr. Can frowned. This boy, what kind of fun is he having that he doesn't know the time? Wife. Mrs. Cuck emerged from the bedroom, mumbling. "Are you looking for Binh? Oh, I'm so sleepy, let me go to bed early. You keep watch, okay? Remind him to wake up on time tomorrow for work." "I know, you go rest and get strong." Mr. Can now stood up, stretched, and then walked into the room. He lay down on the bed, closed his eyes, and drifted into sleep. He hadn't been asleep for long when he heard a clattering sound, like water flowing, and felt a bone-chilling cold that made him open his eyes abruptly. He was startled to see that where he lay was not his familiar room but the ground of the cemetery. And the sound of water he had just heard was the relentlessly falling, extremely cold rain. Mr. Can was now confused and bewildered. "Why am I here?" Before he could figure out what to do, he stopped short when he saw a procession of people approaching him from out of nowhere. So, he sat up and slowly moved closer to see who they were. Surprise followed surprise, accompanied by terror, because he realized these people had very strange figures. Moreover, they had no legs but floated eerily above the ground. And that wasn't all. Their attire resembled that of ancient Chinese people, and they even carried swords and daggers. Mr. Ken was flustered, as it was the first time in his life he had witnessed such a bizarre sight. The group moved closer, and they didn't even seem to notice him as they carried a large, colorful palanquin. On top of the palanquin was a young girl. Although it was dark, Mr. Ken could still make her out. She looked to be only 17 or 18 years old. The palanquin was carried directly into the cemetery. Mr. Can was bewildered, but his curiosity surged. He followed the strange palanquin bearers, and they stopped at the desolate cemetery in front of a large house. Only now did Mr. Can startle, mumbling, there's a house here. Why didn't I ever know?" As he waited to see what the group would do, a hand suddenly slapped him hard on the shoulder, startling him awake. "Hey, what are you dreaming about that you're twitching all over?" Recognizing his wife's familiar voice, Mr. Can now exhaled sharply. It took him a moment to regain his composure. Looking outside, faint yellow sunlight peeked through the window. Mr. Can suddenly remembered something important and was startled. What time is it? 7:30? Why didn't you wake me? Have they arrived yet? When I finished folding clothes earlier, I saw you were still sleeping soundly, so I didn't want to wake you. Those boys left already. Binh took them out to work. I told him to just see what needs to be done when you wake up. How could I use a hoe and shovel and go join them? I'll go in. A moment later, Mr. Can truly felt his body aching all over. He lay down for about half an hour before he could finally get up. After getting out of bed, freshening up, and having breakfast, he also hopped on his motorbike and drove straight to the cemetery. Upon arriving, he was quite surprised and pleased with the sight. The young men were diligently digging up each grave. Now it wasn't just Binh alone, but another person as well. Both were driving 2 buffalo carts to transport the remains to the communal burial pits. Recognizing his father, Binh waved his hand. Dad, you're here, are you? You boys are doing good work, aren't you?" "Of course, I'm directing everything. Do you like what you see, Dad?" "Good. Keep it up and I'll confidently hand over the family's assets to you." "Really, Dad? You'll hand over the chickens to me?" "I will, but not yet. You're still young and inexperienced." "I know." After talking to his son, Mr. Can suddenly remembered his dream from last night. Then, with a mixture of anger and frustration, he looked towards the very center of the cemetery. He breathed a sigh of relief when he saw there was no house or temple there, but only a grave built of stacked stones, quite solid and sturdy. It was clearly the grave of a wealthy person from the past, and Bach's group was about to unearth that very grave. Ignoring everything else, Mr. Can stood with his hands on his hips, constantly reminding them. By noon, the whole group went to their usual eatery for a meal. It was then that Mr. Can finally sat down, feeling unusually heavy. His whole body was covered in sweat. Noticing the unusual change in his father, Binh asked curiously, "What's wrong, Dad? Are you tired?" "I don't know, I feel like I've got sunstroke. Anyway, after you finish eating, Dad, you should go home. Can I oversee things here?" "Yes, you can. Don't worry, Dad. Don't you trust me? This morning, without you, I still directed everything perfectly." "If that's the case, then I'll leave the work here to you. Remember to tell them to try and finish tomorrow, unearth another 30 graves, and then they can rest. Also, absolutely no going out to drink after finishing work." "I know, Dad. You worry too much." Mr. Can nodded, feeling somewhat relieved that his son was capable and willing to take charge of the work. And feeling tired, he didn't eat his meal but stood up to instruct the restaurant owner to add it to his tab for tomorrow. As he drove his motorbike back into the yard, Mr. Can immediately met his wife's gaze. "Why are you back so early? This is my house, I'm coming home. Why are you asking such strange questions?" "I didn't mean that. I just want to ask why you're home at this hour. Are you not working anymore?" "I am, but I'm letting Binh handle it. He's grown up now, not a child I have to supervise all day." Mrs. Cuck implicitly understood her husband's subtle hint about his tiredness. "You're sick, aren't you?" "Sick? I'm perfectly fine." "Oh, don't be so stubborn. You were sleeping soundly this morning, that's already a bad sign. And the weather's been erratic lately, making it easy to fall ill. Come inside and sit down. I'll make you a warm lemon drink for your cold. If it doesn't get better, I'll go buy some medicine." "I don't need it. I'll go lie down for a while now. When I wake up, just make me a bowl of onion porridge, that'll be enough." All right, you go then." Mr. Can stopped his motorbike, pulled out the keys, and slowly walked into his bedroom. Feeling utterly exhausted, he had barely lain down on the bed when his eyes closed. However, this rest was not what he expected, for at this moment he again found himself in a scene from his dream last night. The sky was still dark and hazy, rain was falling lightly, and before him was the strange procession carrying a palanquin. Knowing it was a dream, Mr. Can wasn't afraid, but only tried to find a way to escape. While still fumbling, he was startled to hear a choked sob. The sound was so familiar that he knew instantly it was his son's voice. He looked around and then stopped at the palanquin bearers. The person sitting in the palanquin now was no longer the young girl, but Binh himself. More shockingly, he was bound with ropes, and there was a large wound on his head, blood flowing freely, soaking his shirt. "Oh my God, what happened to you, my son?" Mr. Can now rushed forward, desperately asking his son. But the most horrifying thing was not Binh's bloody appearance, but a hoarse, guttural voice emanating from his throat. "Can, you sinned by destroying my home. You. Soon it will be your turn. Soon it will be all of your turns." As the laughter ceased, Binh raised the pickaxe, its curved blade plunging deep into his own head asterisk. The sharp blow tore through almost half his face, blood gushing forth like a fountain. As for Mr. Can, the event happened so quickly that he couldn't do anything. His whole body felt stuck to the ground. It took a few seconds for him to snap out of it, rushing to his severely wounded son and crying for help. "Is anyone there? Help, help." Fortunately, a group of people were walking by the cemetery at that moment, coming to offer incense to their relatives. Hearing Mr. Can's cries for help, they rushed over. Witnessing the bloody scene, everyone was terrified. "What are you all doing? Hurry, save my son, quickly." So Mr. Can and the others frantically rushed Binh to the hospital. Saying, "together," was just a figure of speech. Mr. Can was too distraught to drive. He had to hand the keys to someone else while he sat in the back, clutching his only son. On the way, he whispered into Binh's ear. "Binh, try to hold on. My son, try. We're almost there, Binh." But how could he hold on? As soon as they reached the hospital gate, Binh let out a final breath and coughed up a pool of blood. "Oh my God, what happened to my son?" Rushing into the emergency room, several doctors and nurses ran out. They placed Binh on a stretcher and wheeled him straight in. Mr. Can now wailed, everyone, you must save him. I'll pay any amount, I'll pay everything." But clearly, money had no effect at this moment. For just over 15 minutes later, a doctor came out to deliver the devastating news. "I'm sorry, sir, we did everything we could, but your son's condition involved severe blood loss and a serious head injury, so he didn't make it." "No, my son isn't dead. You're lying to me, aren't you? Or do you want money? Tell me how much." "Sir, please calm down. We are not asking for your money. Your son has truly passed away. We have now removed the emergency equipment from his body. You can go inside to identify him." "Surely not." After waiting another 5 minutes, Mr. Can was led inside. He now saw, with no room for error, Binh lying motionless on the stretcher. His face was pale, his eyes closed, and his hands hung limply, showing no signs of life. "Oh my God, my son, how did you come to this state?" While still bewildered by the scene before him, Mr. Can suddenly stopped. From his ears came giggling, very crisp laughter. Enraged, he gritted his teeth and roared, "Damn it, what kind of doctors and nurses are you? Laughing when there's a patient?" The laughter still echoed behind him. Overcome with fury, Mr. Can whirled around, ready to confront them, but almost immediately he froze in horror. For behind him were no nurses or doctors, but a procession carrying a palanquin. From atop the red-painted wooden palanquin, a young girl with eyes burning red like 2 piles of fire stared at him. She smirked, and this image only lasted for a few seconds. After Mr. Can blinked, everything vanished. In its place, a doctor stepped forward. "Hello, sir. You've finished identifying your family member, haven't you? Because the wound on your son's body was not accidental, we now have to report it to the police for verification and statements. They've arrived. Please go outside and cooperate." Mr. Can's face was now utterly bewildered and terrified. He looked around, stammering a question back to the doctor. "Sir, did you see that group of people?" "What group?" "The palanquin bearers." "I didn't see anyone. You shouldn't be here anymore. Please go outside and cooperate with the police." Mr. Can nodded, looked back at his son one last time, then suppressed his grief and walked out. Now there was even more trouble. What he had seen and heard when recounted to the police seemed hard to believe. For who would use a pickaxe to strike himself directly in the head like that? And that wasn't all. Even if Binh truly wanted to commit suicide, there were countless other ways. Why choose such a painful death? After taking his statement, the police proceeded to take Binh's body to the morgue for an autopsy. During that time, Mr. Can was held by a group of local militia in the hospital's duty room. This greatly irritated him. "Are you holding me captive? I want to see my son." But his demand could not be accepted. First, he overheard some militia whispering, "Hey, maybe the father and son had a fight that led to death. There's no way it was suicide." Besides, his son was just a carefree playboy. What kind of trauma would make him end his life like that? Exactly. The police have gone to examine the scene. Now it's just a matter of personal handling. Of course, hearing these words made Mr. Kin's blood boil even more. He lunged and grabbed one of the militia by the collar, shouting, "What did you just say? What did you say about my son?" "No, we didn't say anything. Don't get so agitated." "You said it, you did. I'll risk my old life with you." Just as a scuffle was about to break out, a voice echoed from outside, Mr. Can." Mr. Can recognized his wife's voice. It was indeed Mrs. Cuck. She had heard the tragic news from acquaintances who rushed to tell her, and she even thought they were joking or mistaken. But now, arriving and seeing her husband held captive, she realized it was all true. Mrs. Cuck was choked with emotion. "Mister, where's Binh?" "He's at the morgue." How did it come to this? And even Mrs. Cuck, after hearing her husband's account, couldn't believe it. She stammered, asking her husband, "Tell me the truth, dear. What exactly happened? Did you two fight? Or did Binh get into a fight with someone? Tell me, tell me." "It's too strange. What else can I say? Didn't I just tell you everything? This isn't real. How could he just die?" But the truth remained the truth. A moment later, a police officer approached and announced, "We have completed the autopsy. There are no signs of a struggle." And the scene report indicates blood spatter suggesting self-inflicted wounds, suicide. Oh my God, how could that be? Mrs. Cuck was so stunned that she could only utter a few words before collapsing unconscious. The news of Mr. Can's only son's death shocked everyone, especially the grave-digging youths. They stopped working and immediately rushed to inquire. In the early afternoon, after all procedures were completed, Mr. Can brought his son home for the funeral arrangements. Because of the large wound on his head, which was quite disfiguring, Mr. Can was forced to buy a plain, unpadded coffin for his son. When it was brought home, people carefully carried the coffin inside. Mrs. Cuck was conscious by now, but her face was like that of a ghost. 2 or 3 people had to support her, or she might collapse at any moment. While preparing for the funeral arrangements outside, Bach and the young men emerged. "Mr. Can, what happened? Why did Binh die?" Mr. Can shook his head and sighed. He recounted everything to them, but what Mr. Can least expected was that after hearing the story, his cousin's face clearly showed horror. "My God, could it be? It. What are you talking about? What is it?" "The story of that big grave yesterday." "Which big grave? I don't understand what you're saying. Didn't Binh tell you anything?" It was then that Bach recounted. Early yesterday afternoon, after the young men had lunch, they returned to the cemetery to continue digging. When they dug to the large stone grave in the very center, a pungent, foul odor emanated. Moreover, inside the pit, the coffin was still quite intact, even containing many solid charms. "The thing is, Uncle, you signaled everyone to stop and told Binh to go home and inform Mr. Can." Binh nodded and ran off, but a moment later, he returned and said to continue working, that he had already informed his father. So, Dad and the young men tried to hold their noses and close their eyes to lift the coffin. When they first placed it on the buffalo cart, it felt too heavy, causing the cart to tilt. The coffin then rolled onto the ground, and its bottom planks burst open. At this point, oh my, the foul smell intensified manifold. But the most horrifying thing was that the body inside seemed not to have decomposed. The skin and flesh were still quite intact, and it was a young girl with long hair. She was wearing a red dress. Judging by the condition of the corpse, it looked as if she had just been buried recently. Before anyone knew what to do, the sunlight shone inside, causing the body to begin decomposing. The flesh vanished in the blink of an eye, leaving only a pile of white bones. Bach, Binh, and the young men looked at each other in bewilderment, but it was clear they couldn't leave it like that. Binh urged them to quickly gather everything. The buffalo cart returned. He would drive it to bury it. With no other choice, everyone had to obey Binh's words. A moment later, after returning from the communal burial pits, Binh just stood watching everyone work, his face looking different than usual. After that, no one thought much of it. Hearing this, Mr. Can seemed to snap awake. "It's it, could it be it?" Mrs. Cuck also overheard fragments of their conversation. What is this grave scare you're talking about? What is it?" Mr. Can looked at his wife, then at his son's coffin. As someone who had never believed in spiritual matters, but now after everything he had experienced, he blurted out, "Wife, I'm done for. I've harmed Binh." "What are you saying? Harmed what?" Mr. Can stammered, recounting how he had deliberately not invited a shaman and also his dream of the palanquin bearers and the young girl. It was highly possible that the strange body in the central grave was hers. After Mr. Can finished speaking, both Mrs. Cuck and Bach were so terrified that their hands and feet trembled. Mrs. Cuck rushed forward, pounding on her husband's chest. "Are you mad? How could you do such a thing? You've killed our son, do you see now?" Mr. Can, tears welling up, did not resist. Just then, from inside Bin's coffin, a faint giggle suddenly erupted. Not only Mr. Can and his wife, but Bach and almost everyone present heard it and were utterly terrified. Bach was trembling, as he too had been part of digging up that grave. Now Binh was dead, and what if he was the next victim? "No, Mr. Can, you must quickly find Master Hai, otherwise there will be great misfortune." Now that things had reached this point, Mr. Can had no choice but to comply. Moment later, Master Hai was summoned. Upon hearing the story, he immediately glared and snapped. "Good heavens, Mr. Can, what possessed you to unearth that desolate cemetery? Are you tired of living? Let me tell you that cemetery is not ordinary. It belongs to wealthy Chinese merchants. They use charms and spells to suppress the area. From what you've told me, I surmise that corpse is that of a female demon buried as a guardian spirit." "What? A guardian spirit?" Master Hai sighed. "This is a secret Chinese ritual. When a family's wealth becomes too vast, due to theft or unforeseen events, they use this technique to protect their riches. Specifically, they bury gold, silver, jewels, and other valuables first. Then they take a virgin girl, make her drink enchanted water, fast for 7 days, bind her, nail her hands and feet, blindfold her with a snake's skin for a spell, and then bury her alive with the treasure. For all those years, she harbored deep resentment, so now when she encounters people, she will harm them, not simply seek revenge on the ethnicity that wronged her." "Oh my God." Hearing this, Mrs. Cuck collapsed unconscious again. Mr. Can stepped forward. "Master, what should we do now? Is there any way you can help us?" "There is a way, but success depends on the will of heaven. Now you must quickly complete your son's funeral arrangements and have the coffin cremated, especially cremated, not buried." "I understand. In addition, I will go to those communal burial pits and perform a ritual. I hope everything goes smoothly, otherwise, not only your family but this entire village, this entire region, will suffer misfortune." And Master Hai's words were not empty threats. For almost immediately, among the grave-digging youths, some began convulsing, their eyes wide and white, then fell to the ground like wooden statues. Seeing the gravity of the situation, Master Hai immediately performed a spell on Bin's coffin and told Mr. Can to have it cremated. Although he didn't want to at all, as his son wouldn't receive a proper funeral, Mr. Can had no other choice but to comply. By mid-afternoon that day, after his son's coffin had been cremated, news came back from the communal burial pits that Master Hai had completed the rituals and declared it peaceful. Hearing this, everyone rejoiced, but the story did not end there. The next morning, the village was shocked and terrified to hear that Master Hai had passed away. In the dead of night, in a meditative posture, he had left a letter stating, "Although the ritual for Binh is complete, a very heavy price must be paid, which is my own life." He also stated that he should be buried in the very center of the communal burial pits so that he could use his spiritual power to suppress those resentful spirits and prevent them from causing trouble. As Master Hai's funeral was being held, at the same time, at Mr. Can's house, Mrs. Cuck was horrified to discover him hanging himself in the bedroom. Before that, he had asked her to go to the market to buy some things. Mrs. Cuck was angry with her husband, but now with only the two of them left, she didn't want to make things difficult for him. In just a short time, both her husband and her son, her only 2 family members, had died. Mrs. Cuck became extremely distraught, and she dared not remain in that house filled with painful memories any longer, so she moved to her relative's house to live. As for the neighbors next to Mr. Can's house, almost every night they heard sounds of weeping and wailing. On moonlit nights, some even witnessed a procession carrying a palanquin circling the yard. On the palanquin was a young girl, and behind the procession were Mr. Can and his son. They were bound by bright red chains, dragging themselves behind, covered in blood, emitting cries of deep resentment.